if I can come back from one outing from doing macro photography with one stacked image that I like that can go in my portfolio, I'm quite happy. But sometimes you come back with a lot of images that need to be stacked. So I'm going to show you now how I process a lot of images for stacking within my workflow. So here we have a bunch of images that I took when I was out in the middle of the night, and I have 651. After playing through all of those and getting rid of the ones I didn't want, we have 325 that consist of 7 stacks. Let's start with this first one here, 35 images in this stack. Ordinarily, as you've seen on previous videos, I do a WAR workflow. So I would right click here, I go to export a Helicon Focus with a DNG format. Now to do that, you do need to have the pro license of Helicon Focus. So if you're on the light version, you can't do this workflow, so you'd export it as a TIFF file. So we're now in Helicon Focus and we have all of our images here, all 34 of them. And as you know from previous videos, I do an A, B, C method. I take those images into Photoshop and I choose which parts are the best in each layer for my image, but it can take some time. So I'm going to set a timer now and I'm going to render out all 3 of these and we're going to time it, and that's it, we're done. Okay, so we have all 3 methods rendered out from a 34 image stack and it's taken 5 minutes and 26 seconds. Now that doesn't sound that bad. However, if we come back to Lightroom, I'm going to close down Helicon Focus. We've got several other images that we want to do. Some of them are we've got one here that's a 95 image stack, so that's going to take almost 3 times longer to render out. So that could be a 10-minute stack, and it's not like you're just leaving it because you've got to press the buttons to do it. Listen, there's a better way of doing it, okay, a much faster way, and that is called batch processing. Now these images, I've already batch processed them through DxO Pure Raw 5 to clean them up and to add a little bit of sharpness to them. But now let me show you how to batch process them in Helicon Focus. So we're going to open up Helicon Focus first, and we're going to move this over to the side. And again, I am using the Pro version of Helicon Focus. So if yours is slightly different, it might be because you're using the light version. And the first thing we want to do is come over to File, Batch Process. And we bring up a little window here. Now in this little window, we can add a folder, we can add multiple folders, add images, add current sources. They're not the best way of doing it. If you're using Lightroom, and I'm assuming it might work with other software, I'm using Lightroom, there's an easier way. If we come back over to Lightroom, look inside of our stack, select all our images, and we're going to simply click, drag, and drop. Okay, and we're going to do it 2 more times. Click, drag, click and drag. And what's important here is the method. We can change it to A, B, and C, and our radius of smoothing is set the same settings as what you previously used in Helicon Focus. So if you're like me and you don't mess with the radius or the smoothing, then you can just click and drag and you're good to go. Down here we have our format, which is DNG, and we have a specified folder that we can render these to. So I'm going to open this folder up. I'm going to create a new folder which is going to be called Stacks. I'm going to save the images into there. Now I will test this to see how quick this is compared to the other method, because in this method it's not rendering out the images and showing it to you. The progress that you see, it's not doing any of that, so it's a lot quicker. But what we can also do is we can drag in our other stacks. So let's do this one. 1, 2, 3, and again we're going to do an A, B, and a C. We're going to do this one, which I like to call Peekaboo. I think this is my favourite one out of the session, where there's just a little bit of the damselfly poking over the leaf, which, if you ever heard the expression, less is more, I feel like this is the better image. But we're going to do this one. Again, we're dragging it. Drag and drop. So we've got A, B, C, A, B, C, A, B, C. Let's come back to Lightroom. We're going to do this one. 1, 2, 3. We're going to go to A, B, C. And the last one I'm going to do in this demonstration is this one, because the other 2 I want to render separately. Make some more room, and we'll drag 3 times into there. 1, 2, and 3. And again, we're going to select the A, B, and C methods. Okay, so we have our images that are ready to go. We have our methods selected, ABC, ABC, ABC. We have our radius, which is 3, smoothing 1. In this little drop down menu here, we can remove the stack, we can apply parameters to other stacks, and we can split the stack. Now, splitting the stacks, which is called slabbing, I'm not going to talk about that in this video, that'll be for a future video. We have our settings here, which is we want to tick auto save results. Okay, we won't need to be at the computer clicking on render. It's going to do it all for us. We're using a DNG format, so it's the raw workflow. And we're going to our specified folder, which is a folder called stacks within my creative morning session. And we will now click render. So you can see all 15 renders are down the bottom, Helicon Focus. Now our first stack with the A method took around a minute to a minute and a half. It's already passed halfway within 16 seconds. So essentially, there's two things going on here. The first thing that's going on is your computer is able to render the stack out a lot quicker because it's not showing you the graphical interface and the stack being built up. You could do multiple separate images all at the same time, which means I'm now free to go off and do something else if I wish to, because time is money, as they say. So I can go. So we've already completed the first 3 within 1 minute. Now originally that took 5 minutes, about 5.5 minutes before, whereas it only took 1 minute in this method. So it is a lot quicker to render out your stacks using the batch processing. Of course, if you've got a computer that has a high CPU count and a high thread count, you can go off and use the same computer to do something else. Now typically I could be editing a video, I could be doing thumbnails, while Helicon Focus is running in the background rendering out these files. And another thing I've noticed, when I render out Helicon Focus individually, like I showed you at the beginning of the video, all of my fans on my MacBook come on because the computer's getting hot. This method, the fans don't come on, so it's a lot quieter, it runs smoother, it's just better overall for rendering out your images. You can see down the bottom of the screen, this is the raw DNG converter from Adobe. That's a plugin for Helicon Focus that you need to process raw images. So each image that it's loading up, it loads that up as well. You can see that activity down the bottom while it's rendering out. Okay, we're done. So that took 8.5 minutes to render out 5 images during the batch process. A lot quicker than doing it manually. If you want to do retouching within Helicon Focus, you can do by loading up each image individually. That's completely up to you. I don't do retouching within Helicon Focus because I find it very clunky and slow, but if there is something you need to do, you can still do that after batch processing. But for me, I usually just close that down now, and our final step is to come back into Lightroom because we need Lightroom to see those images. To do that, we're going to come over to our creative morning session folder. I'm going to right click, synchronize folder. You can see there's 15 new images to be imported. We'll import those. You can see here we have our stacks, 15 of them. And now our stacks are ready to be edited. So now I could choose which ones I want to keep, which ones I don't want to keep. This one's my favourite. I like that one. Okay, and we can go ahead and edit those now. So there we go. Batch processing not only will speed up your workflow, but it will also save you time and anguish by not having to be at the computer pressing buttons while you're rendering everything out. I can literally set this to go on, say, 50 images, and I can go off and do some more photography work while my computer does the work for me. Now, if you haven't got Helicon Focus, get down to the description of this video. There'll be a link to a free trial to Helicon Focus that you can download and try out before you buy it. That's where I'm going to leave this video. Do you do batch processing in Helicon Focus or denoising software? Let me know in the comments below. But I want to thank you for getting to the end of this video, and again, as always, I'll see you on the next one.